Imagine stepping onto a plane expecting nothing more than a smooth ride home. The sun is setting over the Pacific, the cabin lights are dim, and Alaska Airlines Flight 261 lifts off the runway, just another routine hop from Puerto Vallarta to San Francisco. People settle in. Some close their eyes, some flip through magazines. Some whisper plans for when they land. Up in the cockpit, Captain Ted Thompson and First Officer Bill Tansky are calm, focused, and experienced. These two men have thousands of hours in the sky. To them, flying is muscle memory. It's rhythm. It's poetry. And on this night, everything feels normal. But the sky can turn on you in an instant. Minutes into cruise, the pilots notice something small, almost insignificant. A slight stiffness in the controls. Nothing alarming yet. Airplanes flex and shift. But then it happens again and again. The stabilizer trim, a system pilots rely on to keep the nose level, is refusing to cooperate. Imagine driving a car where the steering wheel suddenly won't turn, but you're going 500 miles an hour, 6 miles above the ocean, with 88 people depending on you. That's the moment the first domino fell. The crew tries adjusting speed. No change. They try trimming manually. Still nothing. Then the airplane suddenly jolts, a violent pitch down, like a trapdoor opening beneath them. Passengers scream as their seatbelts tighten. Drinks fly. Someone cries out, "What's happening?" The pilots fight it, physically pulling the nose up with everything they've got. The aircraft stabilizes, but barely, and now they know something is catastrophically wrong inside the tail. The part of the plane no one can see and no one can reach. Captain Thompson takes a breath. "We're in a jam," he says calmly over the radio, but inside the cockpit, they know the truth. This is no ordinary malfunction. This is a fight for control. A fight to keep the airplane in the sky. And yet, neither man panics. In fact, witnesses later say the crew sounded almost impossibly calm, because that's what experience does. It trains you to stay steady when everything around you is falling apart. What started as a routine flight has now turned into a silent emergency. Every second from here on out will be a battle, and for the next hour, the pilots of Alaska 261 will push themselves and their aircraft far beyond anything they'd ever trained for. If this were any other crew, the story might have ended right here. But these pilots weren't ready to give up. In the cockpit of Alaska 261, the air is thick with tension, but the voices remain calm. Captain Ted Thompson and First Officer Bill Tansky grip the controls, holding the aircraft level by sheer strength. Every muscle trembles. Every second demands focus. They know the stabilizer, the crucial piece controlling the airplane's pitch, is jammed, but they don't yet know how bad things truly are. The flight attendants peek into the cockpit. They see the strain on the pilots' faces. "Is everything okay?" one asks. Ted gives a tight smile. "We're working the problem," he says. A small lie, a necessary lie, because their real situation is terrifying. The plane wants to dive hard, and the only thing stopping it is the combined force of two men fighting the controls like they're wrestling a machine that weighs almost 100 tons. At this moment, Ted and Bill face an impossible decision. Where do they attempt to land a barely controllable aircraft? They're over open water. No nearby airport. Every minute spent in the sky risks total failure. But a rushed landing attempt could be even worse. Options swirl through Ted's mind. Option 1. Divert to Los Angeles. It's the closest major airport with long runways and emergency equipment. But reaching it requires descending through layers of air. The plane may not survive. Option 2. Try a water ditching. But with a crippled stabilizer, ditching isn't landing, it's impact. No one on board might survive. Option 3. Keep troubleshooting. Risky. Time is not their friend. But if they can free the stabilizer, they might regain control and land safely. Ted chooses what only a pilot with decades of wisdom would: fight for time. Time to think, time to work, time to save everyone on board. He radios air traffic control. We need a block altitude. This gives them freedom to climb or descend slightly without approval. Crucial when the aircraft is barely stable. Controllers ask if they want to declare an emergency. Ted pauses. His voice is steady. Not yet, he says. Not out of pride, not denial, but clarity. Declaring an emergency locks them into immediate action. But Ted wants flexibility. He wants options. He wants room to maneuver, to diagnose, to act with precision, not panic. Meanwhile, Bill digs into the manuals, searching for anything that could help free the jammed stabilizer. He tries alternate switches, backup motors, circuit breakers. Nothing responds. The plane shudders again. Ted makes the decision. Let's try to unjam it. This is the kind of choice no pilot wants to make, because freeing a jammed stabilizer can fix the problem or unleash something far worse. But doing nothing guarantees disaster. He warns the cabin crew to stay seated. He tightens his harness. He looks at Bill, who nods. Then they try again. The aircraft groans. A deep metallic vibration coming from the tail, like a giant wrench twisting steel. The pilots hold their breath. For a moment, the plane feels stable. A dangerous hope creeps in. But what they don't know is this. Inside the tail, the component meant to hold the stabilizer in place is worn down, worn far beyond what anyone expected. And with every second, every vibration, every attempt to free it, the risk grows. Ted made the best decision any pilot could make. But sometimes the sky doesn't care how good you are. The night sky stretches endlessly around Alaska 261, but inside the cockpit, time feels like a predator. Every second ticks with a deafening roar, amplified by the howling wind outside and the plane's groaning metal frame. Captain Ted Thompson and First Officer Bill Tansky are locked in a life-or-death struggle against a machine designed to fly effortlessly, now refusing to obey. The stabilizer remains jammed. The nose of the plane dips, jolts, and fights back against the pilot's hands. Imagine holding the wheel of a car as it surges downhill, brakes failing, tires on fire. But now scale that to a plane hurtling through the sky at 500 miles per hour, 31,000 feet above the ocean. That is the reality Ted and Bill face. Every muscle strains, every nerve screams, and yet they cannot falter. The crew and passengers below feel turbulence, but they have no idea just how close they are to disaster. Drinks spill. A baby cries. The lights flicker. The plane lurches violently to the right, and Ted's jaw tightens. He knows they are past ordinary emergencies. This is survival, pure and raw. Bill Tansky scans the control panels, looking for any sign of salvation. The backup systems have failed. Every attempt to move the stabilizer manually has only delayed the inevitable, and then a small glimmer of hope. A slight shift in the trim mechanism. It's not fixed, but it's something. Ted takes it. He knows every inch of control counts. Every slight adjustment can buy precious seconds. Seconds. That's all they have. Ted calls air traffic control again. His voice is calm, almost eerily so. We're having a problem with the stabilizer. Request vectors to nearest airport. He doesn't yell. He doesn't panic. He communicates clearly, precisely. because panic is a luxury they cannot afford. Down below, a storm of emotion is building. Fear, uncertainty, tension. Passengers clutch armrests, whisper prayers and brace for impact. Some glance at the pilot's calm expressions and find a fraction of reassurance. But most don't realize just how monumental the struggle is above them. And then it hits. A loud snap reverberates through the cabin. Metal twists. The stabilizer, already compromised, has fractured. The plane's nose dips violently. The autopilot is useless. Now, every ounce of skill, courage and determination Ted and Bill possess is needed to prevent a full dive. Ted shouts commands. Bill responds, their voices sharp, precise, synchronized. The plane surges upward, then tilts dangerously. They fight, pull, push, twist, and hold, battling not just machinery, but physics itself. Every second they survive feels like a small miracle. Every breath, a victory. Outside, the night is merciless. Clouds swirl, stars offer no guidance. The ocean below is a dark abyss. One wrong move, one misjudged adjustment, and they would plummet into it. Yet Ted and Bill refuse to quit. They refuse to surrender to fear. They are determined to reach land, to save their passengers, to prove that even when faced with impossible odds, the human spirit can prevail. Their battle is not just against a machine. It's a battle against inevitability itself, against every law of aerodynamics screaming at them that the aircraft should fail, against the invisible hand of fate hovering in the dark. And in that cockpit, two men fight with everything they have, knowing the world below has no idea just how extraordinary their struggle is. Every pilot trains for emergencies. Every captain dreams they'll never face one like this. But for Ted Thompson and Bill Townsky, theory becomes life or death, and every decision from here on is amplified by the knowledge that 88 passengers and 5 crew members are depending on them. The fractured stabilizer makes the plane twitch unpredictably. A small correction in one direction could send the nose violently upward. A tiny overcompensation downward could send them plummeting. Every maneuver feels like walking a tightrope stretched over the ocean with no safety net. Ted makes a split-second decision. They must descend to a lower altitude. The thinner air at 31,000 feet is taxing the control systems, making the plane even more difficult to handle. Dropping to 23,000 feet may give them more stability, but it also brings them closer to mountains, storms, and treacherous terrain. One miscalculation, and the sky could become their tomb. Meanwhile, the cabin crew works tirelessly to keep panic at bay. Flight attendants reassure passengers with calm, deliberate words, hiding their own fear. A mother hugs her child tightly, whispering prayers. A young couple holds hands, bracing for the unknown. Every person on board is part of a story of survival now, though most don't know it. Ted maintains communication with air traffic control. His voice never wavers, even as he explains that the stabilizer is partially inoperative. Controllers coordinate emergency landings, vectoring them toward Los Angeles, the nearest airport with the longest runways. But the plane won't glide like a normal aircraft. Every second counts, and every decision could make the difference between life and death. Below, the Pacific Ocean stretches endlessly, dark and merciless. Ted and Bill know the ocean is unforgiving. Ditching the plane is a last resort. There's no room for error. They must keep the aircraft airborne long enough to reach land. Their fight is now a race against time. Hours feel like minutes as they wrestle the controls. Ted grits his teeth. Bill sweats, muscles trembling from the constant strain. Each micro-adjustment, each corrective pull of the yoke is precise and deliberate. They work as one, mind and body synced, because a single misstep could spell catastrophe. Passengers sense the tension, though they don't know the details. Every bump, every tilt, every sudden shudder brings gasps and whispered prayers. Yet the calm professionalism of the crew provides a fragile anchor in the storm of fear. And then a moment of hope. The stabilizer responds slightly to manual input. The plane straightens, enough to give Ted the confidence to continue toward the airport. It's not perfect. It's not safe. But it's enough. This is no longer just flying. This is heroism, courage, persistence under impossible odds. Every second that Alaska 261 stays in the air is a testament to the willpower, skill, and refusal to give up exhibited by Ted and Bill. They are no longer just pilots. They are guardians, holding a fragile metal bird in the sky, fighting for every soul on board. The story of Alaska 261 didn't end with a simple landing or a triumphant touchdown. The plane eventually succumbed to its mechanical failure, and yet the legacy of Captain Ted Thompson and First Officer Bill Tansky is not measured by the tragedy itself, but by the courage, skill, and unwavering determination they displayed in the cockpit. Think about it. In a situation where most would panic, they remained calm. In a situation where most would feel powerless, they fought every second for their passengers' lives. Every move they made, every decision, every tiny adjustment of the controls was a refusal to surrender to fate. And that is where the true miracle lies. Not in the outcome alone, but in the human spirit that refuses to give up, even when the odds are overwhelmingly against it. Family members, colleagues, and the world watched in awe as the investigation unfolded. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, meticulously pieced together the events, uncovering the mechanical failures that made the disaster inevitable. Yet in every report, every analysis, the professionalism of Ted and Bill shone through. Pilots around the world studied their actions. Students learned about their decision-making under pressure, and the aviation community reflected on the lessons that preparation, courage, and composure can make a difference, even in the face of impossible odds. Ted Thompson's legacy is also a deeply human one. He reminds us that heroism isn't always about surviving unscathed. It's about commitment, responsibility, and refusing to quit when others' lives depend on you. In his last moments in the cockpit, he wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about every passenger, every crew member, every life he swore to protect. And that focus, that dedication, leaves a mark far deeper than headlines ever could. Stories like Alaska 261 are reminders that the human spirit is resilient. That bravery can take many forms, from soldiers on the battlefield to doctors in hospitals to pilots in the sky. Ted and Bill's fight wasn't glamorous or easy. It was gritty, exhausting, and terrifying. But it was real, and it inspires. It challenges us to ask ourselves, when faced with our own impossible situations, will we quit, or will we fight with everything we have? Even today, when aviation students study emergency protocols, Alaska 261 is more than a cautionary tale. It's a lesson in perseverance. It's proof that courage and skill, when combined, can stretch the limits of what's possible. Captain Ted Thompson's story is a beacon, a reminder that heroes aren't born, they rise in moments of crisis. That even when the sky seems determined to pull you down, you can reach inside yourself and fight. That refusing to give up can leave a legacy that echoes far beyond the cockpit, beyond the lessons, beyond the tragedy itself. And for every viewer watching this story unfold, take this with you. The true miracle isn't just surviving, it's the relentless, unyielding refusal to surrender, no matter the odds. That is the miracle of Alaska 261. If this story of courage and determination inspired you, don't let it stop here. Hit that like button to honor the heroes of Alaska 261. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another incredible story of human bravery and survival. And share this video with someone who needs a reminder that no matter how impossible the odds, refusing to give up can change everything.